What's going on, guys? I'm Weston Mac and welcome back to the channel. I've had a question that's been ringing in my ears the past couple months. Is the MetaQuest 3 usable outside of gaming? I have over a couple hundred hours on the MetaQuest 2 or the Oculus Quest 2, depending on how you actually want to say it, and I have a couple dozen hours in the MetaQuest 3 gaming. But I've been very interested in how their augmented reality or AR mode works and if it actually could be used coinciding with a whole computer. So today we have three different tests, I guess is the best way to put it. Three different tests we're going to put the MetaQuest 3 through and to see if it's actually that useful. Test number one, and this is the test I'm most interested in. If the MetaQuest 3 can be used coinciding with a game or some type of program to enhance your work. What I'm trying to get at is if you could maybe use the MetaQuest 3 with a canvas and you use the MetaQuest 3 as the place where you get all your reference materials from. Or maybe you're a sculptor and you want to be able to see your reference right in front of you next to your sculpture instead of using a laptop or even your phone. And I was pleasantly surprised with the results. Now, one thing before we get into this, you might notice there's no sound. Yeah, I've had a ridiculous amount of issues recording with the MetaQuest 3, which has kind of put a damper on this entire project. Initially, this project was showing off if you could just live with a VR headset on your head, and then battery became an issue. As you'll see later in the video, it's not that good, but I won't spoil anything yet. And also, the recording is another huge issue. If you use the recording app inside the MetaQuest 3, it actually lets you record pretty much as long as you want. But if it goes like over an hour, it will force you to only upload it to either your Facebook or also WhatsApp. And then on top of that, the quality isn't that good unless you upload it in really short clips. If I wanted to upload it in like 1080p, for instance, I'd have to go, I believe, in 7-minute clips. And 7-minute clips over a possible 12-hour recording time, yeah, that's not gonna work. So this idea kind of shifted to see realistically, if you use this headset for its majority of battery life, would it be that usable? Getting back on topic, I was pleasantly surprised at how well it worked. Anyways, long story short, the first third of this video roughly has no audio, even my vocals, which is kind of a bummer. I yap a lot, so I'll throw some narration onto this, but it's kind of a bummer once I figured out, oh, it just isn't recording my audio. I had to reset the entire recording. I kept the footage, but you just don't get to hear me speak, which is kind of not the best.
So, I'm going to do some live commentary for this part of the recording. So, as you can see here, I'm actually looking up some reference material for. I was thinking about a castle, but eventually ended up finding this really cool 3D model of a castle tower, which I'm like, that's simple enough to make. It won't take very much time. And I have a pretty good reference for it. So, I've been playing Minecraft for a ridiculous amount of years, and I'm pretty familiar with the building blocks and pallets I need to do. And not gonna lie, this would actually be a very good resource for especially 3D models. A lot of the times, 3D models won't be as refined or good looking on your phone and might not even load. So to have this good piece of hardware just right in your face showing you exactly what you want to see, I mean, I'm able to match it pretty closely. It's not as tall because I didn't have as much time, but as you can see here for the final bit, I think I nailed it pretty good, and I was pleasantly surprised with how good this could be. So, whether you're playing Minecraft, sculpting, or even doing a painting, I feel like this is actually a very good piece of hardware for referencing objects, art, and stuff like that. So, a pretty successful test. I'm happy with it.
Our next test, which you actually will get to hear me speak in this one, is all about the PC. If it can just be used in general with your PC, whether you're organizing your stuff or you're even doing Premiere Pro content. I generally just wanted to see if seeing items or text or different videos on your actual screen might affect you. I'm trying not to use this screen or this screen behind me, and I'm actually casting all of the footage on my TV. So I'm basically trying to do a dual monitor setup using the VR headset and my PC, and the results might surprise you.
Anyways, to check up on the battery here, we've used so far roughly 30% of the battery in the last 20 minutes or so, which is not exactly great. I'm not a huge fan of that, but let's continue on and see how we can use the VR headset to maybe help me in my next quest, I guess. I don't know, my mission, I don't know. So, objective number 2, using the PC itself while still having the headset on. Now, I need to clear up my desktop. I did get it messy on purpose. I'm normally a very organized person, so don't worry about this. And as you can see here, I have a couple music files. I have a bunch of Premiere files down here, even some raw files sitting out on my desktop. But I want to clear some of this up, condense some stuff, maybe even get rid of some of these Premiere files. But I'm having one issue. It is pretty darn difficult for me to read some of this stuff. I know what these say because they're normally on my desktop. This Thunder Mod Manager, this GeForce Experience, photos for YouTube, videos done, and even some of the stuff down here. But if I didn't know what these said, I don't think I'd be able to read them, if I'm being honest. So let's clear up my desktop here. These are actually some videos I did for my friend's graduate. Actually, I can't use this monitor. No, I'm not using extra monitors. that's how used to using this extra monitor I am. I got so used to being like, oh, my files are showing up over here. That's fine. Oh wait, so we have my friend's graduation video here, which is a done video. I'm gonna save that, but the rest of this is the raw files. So I could go ahead and get rid of all of this, and then this folder should be empty, and I can get rid of this folder. And it's the same thing when it comes to my other friend here. I'll go ahead and put that in videos done and get rid of these files as well. Now, one thing actually I want to show you guys. So if you actually look at your phone, you might notice, look up here at the very top of the screen while it tries to log me in. So I'm going to look at my screen, and up here is actually the Face ID trying to get a read on my face. See, it locks because it's not actually seeing most of my face, just my mouth. So I think that's actually, you're actually seeing a visual part of, like, the light spectrum that you normally can't see with your human eyes, which I think is such a interesting side effect of using VR goggles. So as we see here, this is actually a whole thing for Film Coven had an event earlier this semester, kind of like a small film festival, but for our friends and other people in the club, and it went actually very well. I was pleasantly surprised with how well it went, and we had some great submissions. But in the middle of it, we actually had a compilation of different moments from the Witching Hour podcast. As you can see here, we have we have the end of a clip. So we have a clip that actually shows which episode it came from. Which actually I cannot read that. Like I can see that's the season final episode, and I can't even read the episode. Ooh, ow. Like, oh, that messes my eyes. Ugh, I didn't like that. Yeah, so I can see season 1, episode 7. So I don't know how much you can see of the edges. Oh, you can see a warp. So as I go in, because of how close I am, it's messing up the depth sensors like a lot. All I'm really wanting to do here is actually so this is where I wanted to cut. So we're going to take all this before. We're going to get rid of all this and actually bring this back and everything beyond this. There's the end of the compilation. And we're going to take all this out as well because I'm no longer eating any of that. I want to see, I know what it looks like, but I want to see what the outro of our videos look like so I can replicate it. So we're going to go and, I don't want to start a video game. So we can just choose one of the podcasts here. So let's go with our newest video. Sorry if you can't hear me. Literally, my mic's over here, so I'm having to go back and forth. Actually, let's just move it over here. I didn't think about that. Yeah, look, there we go. Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring out the controllers. So the fingers aren't as precise as I need them to be, so we're gonna have to rewind using the controller. So this is how it intros. So that's our reference footage for how it intros here. So we have the podcast intro right there. So as soon as I put it down, it recognizes I'm no longer using the controller. And let's go ahead and grab this, pull it over there. So
Bad, terrible.
that is pretty much the same thing. The logo stays on for a little longer, but I think I'm happy with that. I'm happy with it. So now let's look at the end footage. So let's go to the very end. 57 minutes in. I have about a minute left in the footage. So this fades to black, and I believe it should show. It shows the credits, and then it shows this, which is our outro. Thanks for watching. Some of the stuff is in YouTube, so this subscribe channel thing, as well as both of these YouTube videos, are embedded into the YouTube. But this is actually an effect we have on standby. So put the camera down. We'll go ahead and minimize out of that. We'll go to our film stuff, and we're gonna go. So we have our outro video here, which I think actually has different music embedded. I'll have to replace the music. And also we need to go find our music, which should be in the podcast, the witching hour music. Perfect. And we'll throw that, oops. We'll go ahead and throw that into here. So there we go. We've got that. This is going to be turned down immediately. I can already see it's going to blast my headphones right off. Yeah, it's going to be super loud. We'll bring down the level overall. We'll do like a -20. Just to be safe. Cool. We'll start it here. Man, I'm gonna have to zoom in a lot because I can't. Okay, yeah, I cannot see that detail whatsoever. Like, it is pretty hard to see any of this right now. Holy cow, I cannot read any of this. Like, I know that's a dip to black, and that's an exponential fade, I think. But that is me purely guessing. I cannot read that whatsoever. You can actually hear this audio. I didn't realize that. So now we have that attached to it. Pretty good. I think the audio levels are relatively fine. I'll probably have to modify these later on. But yeah, not too bad. I've now managed to do some I will say very basic edits, but editing in Premiere Pro is totally possible. Let's go ahead. We'll throw some effects on the end of this. We'll do a dip to black at the very end of this. Oh, I can. Is that adding? Did that add? That did not add. I cannot. Oh, there we go. Okay, I can see the little bit of blue, but I cannot see that being added. Wow. Okay, and we have a fade. We'll do an exponential fade here. There. Okay. I'm probably gonna have it a little bit closer and then pull the black out a little bit more. That's fine. Perfect. In some cases, I could see this being pretty useful. Once again, I am seeing this as a great reference, a really good reference thing, because like, if for whatever reason I wanted to, if I'm making a film and I really, really want reference shots live, and I can look at that and make sure the shot looks exactly the same, we can look up Titanic movie shots. Actually, I'm going to move this back over here so you guys can hear me a little better. So we have classic Titanic movie shots, and I'm like, man, I really want to recreate the classic Rose and Jack scene where they're oops. I guess that can work. I want to recreate the classic Rose and Jack Titanic shot. This is great. That photo's right there, and I can look at this. This looks crisp. This might not be the best quality, but I am seeing it in pretty good detail. I just checked the color detail. The color detail looks pretty much exactly the same, but that's not too bad. I could see this working as a decent reference thing, but holy cow, does this make it hard to edit? It is difficult. Like, if I were to take this headset off, I could see these audio levels pretty well. I cannot see these audio levels very well at all. any text that is currently on here, I cannot see. I cannot tell what these numbers are. I know based off of the timing of the actual video, but I cannot read these numbers whatsoever. So maybe this would be great post editing, but I, I would not recommend. I would not recommend strapping an Oculus headset on just so you have a second monitor.
And the third test, which didn't really go as planned, I expected more out of it, was the entertainment. You can download certain apps on the Meta Quest 3, like YouTube, which I tried to download. But from what I saw, there's no AR mode, no augmented reality allowed. Which, if I wanted to watch it, I wouldn't be able to use the augmented reality unless I used Meta's built-in browser. It's a pretty young browser, and it's okay for what it needs to do, but I'm kind of surprised they didn't coordinate with Google and have Google Chrome on the Meta Quest 3, or even Microsoft with Microsoft Edge. They recently actually made a deal where Xbox's unlimited Game Pass program actually works on the Meta Quest 3, and you could play Xbox games in an VR or augmented reality setup. It's a little weird, and I think it's still kind of prototypey, but it's an interesting result of them working together. But back to the point, from what I saw, the majority of streaming or YouTube is only available on the Meta Quest browser. I think that's what it's called. So if you wanted to have your favorite YouTube video here and a game you're playing here, you can't do that unless you use the browser, not the app. Now, the app does allow you to do 360 video and 3D video, which is what I'm assuming that's why it's its separate thing. And maybe augmented reality is coming in the future, but it was kind of a bummer that you have to use a completely different app if you want to use the same app, basically. Anyways, so rounding up all the results, I'm not going to have some big scorecard or whatever, but I was both disappointed and also not. I've spent literally hundreds of hours in VR, and this is really my first foray into doing AR as well. The closest rival to the Meta Quest 3 is Meta's own Pro version of this headset, as well as Apple's headset as well. Now, I've not had any hands-on work with Apple's VR headset, but what I've seen is they have similar issues. And that main one, of course, being the battery. I would totally recommend you watching the video linked with this little icon thingy. It's a video by comedian Eddie Burback, and he talked about his experience using the Apple Vision Pro. And is it called that, or just called Apple Vision? Anyways, Apple's VR headset. And from what I can recall, he can't even finish a movie because the battery's too short. It's interesting, both of these headsets with pretty distinctive quality differences both have a battery issue. To compare to Apple, these headsets almost feel like the iPod to the iPhone. And the older headsets that require a PC feel like the Mac to the iPod, where you have all this great technology, but now condensing it down, you might not get the highest quality. So issues like the battery or depth sensors or cameras not looking the best does give off the same vibe as the iPod. So what I'm interested in is what's going to be the iPhone, the Meta Quest 4, the Meta Quest Pro 2, or the Apple Vision Pro 2, or Steam's Valve Index 3, or whatever. The fact that the Meta Quest 3 is making me think about all this, I think it serves its purpose. That's why I'm not totally disappointed, because I know this is the iPod. This is this generation's, we'll figure it out and we'll just deal with the battery life. So I forgive this really neat piece of hardware for not being the most outstanding thing in the world, because it did technically get the job done for this video. I was able to build a little Minecraft tower using a reference without using my phone, the other monitors, and it wasn't that hard to look at and be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. So it got the job technically done. And with sorting my computer, while I didn't necessarily use it, I still was able to show, hey, I could have the Meta Quest 3 on, I could throw some YouTube on, listen to some tunes, while also fixing my background. While at times it's a little hard to read, it did its job. and even going back and referencing old videos to help me edit the Witching Hour compilation that I was working on. I was able to go back, this is how it looked. Okay, let me replicate that. And I did. It got its job done. While you could argue it wasn't necessary for me to use the MetaQuest, it's like, I don't know, I'm geeking out about it, but like you can see that it can be used, right? And with the whole entertainment thing, and they just need to figure out the apps. I don't know about that. It did its job, but I mean, they can do it better. I mean, come on, it's YouTube. So all in all, slightly disappointed, but technically, it did its job. I think that's really the message of this video. I had a lot of fun making this video, and I even thought about switching back and forth because I have my MetaQuest 2 with a battery pack on the back, which I do want to see them build a battery pack for this. They did have some controversial issues with this headset, as the first battery pack built for this headset when it first came out kept catching on fire. I know, not the best look, but hopefully the next one won't catch on fire. See, I'm just gonna gently put that down and hope for the best. Anyways, that's the conclusion of the video. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. And I'm gonna go play some VR. I'll see you next time.